see it dripping like a son of a gun.
Right here, stripping right there. Okay. I gotta be honest, I don't think that what you're gonna do is gonna fix it.
That's a pretty bad leak. So I call this the Hayward drip.
The Hayward drip.
And the reason why is because, you know, my background in nursing, there was a particular STD that we called the drip.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. And I switched over to pools, and I see this all the time. And anyways, I call it the Hayward drip. So it's very common, and I've seen it literally with brand new filters. The very first time they've been taken apart and cleaned, put them back together, and they drip. So there's a few tricks you can do to help with it, and I'll show you all the tricks that I know, and there might be some more that I don't know. But this is everything that I've learned, and it seems to help a lot. It's possible, even after you do all the tricks, it might still have a little drip. And the only thing you can do at that point is just tell the customer, you know, you've got an old filter and there's nothing I can do. It's very common with these filters, and I know all the tricks, and I tried them, and it's still dripping. You either have to live with the drip or you got to get a new filter. You can't get a new band clamp for these. Hayward says you can't put the new one on the old filter.
Why?
You know, to be honest, I don't know, and they didn't know either. Probably because they want you to buy a new filter, but they say that they don't recommend you putting a new band clamp on an old filter.
You know how much those clamps cost? $300.
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous? That's the world we live in.
I know. I do have one customer that had the old filter and was having a problem with the drip. He got a new O-ring, new body O-ring inside, and bought a new style clamp, the bigger, bulkier one. Put it on the old style filter. I told him I can't recommend you do that. Hayward, you know, I specifically called Hayward and they said don't do it. He did it anyways, and you know, I serviced this pool for another year after that. Never saw any problems, but I would never recommend it because Hayward doesn't recommend it. So anyways, let's break this down. Let's take a look. It's getting hot.
Starting to.
Yeah. Good and it's bad.
Today's the first time I've been hot, I think, this year for this.
Why did you throw a lemon at me?
What was that?
Just fell off the tree, or somebody throw that lemon at us?
I don't know.
So one of the things I like to do on really, really tricky filters is I'll actually keep the top oriented in the same direction, because as soon as you take this top off and then you go to pick it back up, you're going to put it on again, you're going to turn it. It's not going to go on, and these will actually get a little bit out of round, so it might squeeze in this way. And the way that I tell is I put a mark right where the band clamp is with my screwdriver. I just scratch it.
Oh, that's smart, yeah.
So I just put a little scratch in it. So I always know where the band clamp nut goes, and I always know where the top and the bottom are all lined up. So that's the first thing I do. I don't find that makes too much of a difference, but it does help a little bit.
So you don't see all the rust down there on that motor and think that this could be a problem ongoing, maybe?
It may have, but
it looks like it's just been a lot. It's been wet a lot.
yeah, it definitely has. It might have been leaking for a long time. Okay, I'm just gonna set this aside. Okay, so Hayward does not recommend that you put lube on this O-ring. If you look in the manual, it'll say don't lube it. And kind of sucks, because if you put lube on it,
It will seal it.
it'll help it. It'll help solve the problem. The problem with it is it'll make the problem in the future worse, because the lube is really sticky. You can see how dirty this is, and dirt sticks to it really bad. So as soon as you start spreading lube on this thing to seal it up, now you're gonna have a problem with dirt sticking to it. And the problem that most of these have is this lip right in here is not clean. You can see all that crap.
Oh yeah.
You can see all that sand. And the most important thing to make these not leak is to get that lip as clean as you can get it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is take off the O-ring.
Oh, there's a lot of sand.
I don't know if you can see that on the camera.
I can.
But we'll actually take that to the pool in a minute and clean it. First thing I'm gonna do is get a rag I'm gonna wipe the bottom and the top filter body. And I don't even have any water on here, and it's kind of dirty, but hopefully it's clean enough to do the job. But you want to get this lip as clean as you can get it. All that crap. So that sand, that's probably the problem. This one may not, to be honest with you, it may not seal up completely because it's a really old one, and somebody has used lube on it before. You can tell because it's just kind of like, I don't really know how to describe it, but I can see it. It's like the water is beating up. It's like there's an oil, petroleum-based product on there in the past, and so it's going to be really hard to get it to clean and seal. But we'll try. And then once you get it clean, you want to inspect it, because sometimes you'll have a big gash right here. If you got a big chunk, a big gash taken out of the seat where the O-ring goes, you know, there's really not much you can do. It's gonna leak.
You're gonna do this lid also?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one for sure.
See, I never take the effort to do what you're doing right now, so that's the problem.
Yeah. I guarantee you it's gonna be a lot better. It may not be 100% sealed, but it'll be a lot better. I do this on every Hayward. Pentair and Waterway, I don't bother.
They seal a lot better.
Yeah, they just seal up a lot better.
Even if there's crap under them.
Yeah. The other one you have problems with is Jandy. Jandy will do this a lot, but Hayward's the worst. So pretty much have this as clean as I'm gonna get it. Sometimes you have to like really rub it too, because this black crap from the O-ring just gets stuck on there. Okay, that's pretty good. Come over here, try not to trip. Same thing. See all that crap on there? And this is because somebody was using
lube.
Somebody was using lube on there. So all this, so the O-ring is breaking down, number one, and it's depositing the brake downage, for lack of a better term, right there on the lip. They do have some silicone-based lubes that you can spray on, and I used to carry those, but I don't know, I didn't really use them very much. I didn't really find that.
Well, how does that help? Does it attract dirt though?
No, because it's not as sticky, and it doesn't break down the O-ring. See, that's O-ring
Gotcha.
that we're pulling off of there. And if the O-ring breaks down, you're gonna have little chunks. If you got little chunks, you've got little gaps. And if there's little gaps, then the water can get through. I've been trying to make a video on this forever, dude, because it's such a common problem. Seen in that Facebook group that I'm in,
they talk about it a lot.
People post all the time, why is this? And most people don't even know all the tricks. They just say, oh, you got to tighten the clamp more. And you know, if I had a video, I could just send them a link to. It'd solve them a lot of problems, you know. Yeah, if you do this every filter clean, you don't have to spend nearly as much time. This is just because this hasn't been done in years. I mean, normally it takes me an extra, you know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes to do this. Because I do it every time. Okay, so that's pretty good. I don't think I need to get anything off this, but just because it's so bad, I'm gonna take it off. Probably ought to do it over there too.
Want to dip that in the water maybe too?
You know, I don't think we need to. In fact, I don't even get my rag wet unless I, you know, really need to like scrub into something that's not coming off well. but this is all coming off pretty good. The biggest thing is you just don't want any more chunks left, and sometimes you've got chunks that are loose after you clean it and there'll still be a chunk sitting there. And just run around the top of this one real quick.
I've been seeing a lot of Apache helicopters lately.
You know, I have too. Wonder if they're like training just in case.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, huh?
It does make you wonder a little bit.
Start doing some exercises just to get back into the swing of things.
When tension's high.
And you got, you know, chips, you kind of take a note and say, okay, it's right here. If it's leaking right here, then you can tell the customer, well, there's some damage to the to the body there. We have to replace the filter. Okay, I think that's pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna grab that O-ring. I just dip it in. I just run my fingers on it, and it's this one, because it has lube on it, you gotta do it quite a bit because all that sand needs to come off. Honestly, if I had a clean rag, I would try to take some of that lube off, but I don't, so we're just gonna leave it like that. But you can see there's no sand on it, it's just got some lube. All right, let me wash this crap off. The crappy thing about this is, you know, the customer always thinks you don't know what you're doing. Like when it leaks, you know, they're like, why is it leaking, you know? And you can tell them like your filter sucks, but you know,
They'll never believe that
no,
they need a new filter. They're like, that's impossible.
Right.
There's no way.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I had to explain it to a guy one time. His pool was brand new. I was the first person to open it up and clean it. And I tried to explain to him like why it's dripping after, you know, it wasn't
Because of the sand?
well, it wasn't dripping before, and then I opened it up and cleaned it, and now it's dripping. It's just because it sucks. So I had to do it again, take it apart. Everything has to be perfect.
So what was wrong with it?
It was nothing. I just had to get it cleaner.
Oh, okay.
The stars have to align.
I gotcha.
But eventually I got it. I got it working. Okay, so if you remember, I made a mark. So I'll try to line that mark up. Okay, so now most people know this already, but put your band clamp back on. Try to line the spot where the nut's gonna go. Put the mark. Put your nut. One thing that I'll say real quick, I've seen this before with technicians. If you want to slide your clamp over, you don't want to take your hammer or mallet. I mean, rubber mallet's probably not too bad, but anything metal, start banging on those threads to get this to turn, because you're going to screw up those threads. I've had to fix that with.
Why would you bang it again?
To get it to turn.
Oh, okay.
Like, let's say you want your nut right here because of where the wall is or whatever to bang behind it. You don't want to bang on these threads with anything metal. And I've had technicians do that before, and I got to go fix it. So, just a little side note for people watching this video, they may not know that. But luckily, you know, with I didn't have to buy a whole new band clamp. I just had to buy a little die and tap thing and rethread it. and it worked, but
You actually re-threaded the bolt.
yeah, and because
That's hardcore right there.
yeah, my technician kept doing it over and over, and we were buying band clamps for customers. I'm like, why is this happening like 3 times a year? Anyways, I went out and looked to see what he was doing, and he was banging on them. Okay, once it starts to snug up, most people already know this, but get your rubber mallet, tap out the slap. Okay, so when I don't really have much room to work, but when I do this, I don't go super tight at first. Hayward actually, forget what it is. There's a number like how many foot. It's not foot pounds. It's foot inches, or I don't know what they use. Something
Torque.
torque. Yeah, they have a torque setting. But I don't know a single pull tech that has a torque wrench out here.
Right.
Oh, 20 right there.
Yeah.
So you just do it by feel, but you don't want to go too tight, and I like to tighten it where I want it by feel, and then I turn it on and see if it's leaking.
What's wrong with being too tight?
You can bust it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you're in big trouble.
Strip threads and stuff. Yeah.
Then the customer's like, buy me a new filter.
Yeah. Then you
right?
gotta buy a new clamp at least. But well, this one you have to buy a new filter because the old filter, you can't do a new clamp on an old filter. But anyways, put it where where it feels good. That's just based off your experience. I can't really help you with that much. But then I turn it on, check for leaks. If it's still leaking, I'll try to pound it out a little bit and tighten it up more. But if it's still leaking, it's just a little drip, there's a good chance in a week or two that it'll go away. I don't know why, but the pressures.
Maybe with calcium deposit or something. Or
I don't know what it is. The
some dirt
pressures
gets
just
cut in.
neutralize. And that guy I was telling you with the new filter that did it first filter clean, I tightened it just a little bit. It was still dripping. I told him it'll probably go away. Just keep an eye on it. Let me know. And a week later it was gone. Okay, that's pretty good. So let's start it up. I always close this first because if you have this open, you're gonna get water everywhere. You can't tell what's dripping and what's not dripping. So close your air. Fire it up. Cross your fingers.
That's impressive.
Not dripping?
No. You did great.
Give it a minute to let it fill up, because this probably got water going up in it right now. Looks good to me, dude. It's completely sealed up.
Thanks, man.
Not a single drip.
I owe you seafood next time.
That's the Hayward drip right there.
That was actually very helpful. I'll never have an issue doing that.